welcome back to our channel, fellow Port Charles addicts. Today is a beautifully chaotic Tuesday, and we have so much to unpack. We are always here to bring you the latest, most passionate takes on everything happening in and out of our favorite fictional town. Grab your coffee, settle in, and let us get into the absolute madness that just dropped on our feeds. I cannot believe this is happening. I am literally typing this at 2 in the morning because I just saw the news and my brain is completely short-circuiting. I am staring at my screen trying to make sense of what I am looking at. I mean, did anybody have this on their 2026 bingo card? Because I sure as heck did not. I am half celebrating, half crying, and entirely overwhelmed by this pivot. Wait, I am getting way ahead of myself here. Okay, let me breathe. Let me back up and explain what is actually going on before I completely lose my mind. Chad Duell. Yes, oh you are Chad Duell. He just dropped a massive bombshell on his official Instagram over the weekend, and I am still trying to pick my jaw up off the floor. He is releasing music. A single. A whole actual song called If You Need Me, dropping on the 26th of June 2026. Like what? I'm sorry, but since when is Chad a singer? I have been watching this man on my screen since 2010, and never once did I look at Michael Corinthos and think, you know what this guy needs? A Spotify pre-save link. But here we are. And honestly, I am kinda here for it. But also kinda terrified. I mean, we all know the track record of soap stars trying to cross over into the music industry. It is either a massive, iconic success, or a weird fever dream we all collectively agree to never speak of again. So, I am sitting here staring at this pre-save link for If You Need Me, just wondering what the vibe is gonna be. Is it an acoustic indie ballad? Is it a pop rock anthem? Is he gonna give us some moody, synth-heavy bop? I need answers. He said he is going to share more about the story behind the song once it drops, and you better believe I'm going to be refreshing my app at midnight to hear it. But honestly, seeing his face pop up on my feed just brought back all the trauma from early 2025. Can we talk about this? Can we just take a moment to acknowledge how emotionally devastating his exit was? Because I am still not over it. I have been watching since 2015, and that fire in Sonny's office was easily one of the most stressful, anxiety-inducing things they have ever done on this show. I remember sitting on my couch, clutching a throw pillow, literally screaming at the television. The flames, the smoke, the way the beams were collapsing, it was visually stunning. I will give the production team that, but emotionally, it wrecked me. Let us really get into that scene because it haunts my dreams. Michael being trapped in Sonny's office, the smoke inhalation, the desperate attempts to get to him. You could feel the heat through the screen. And the acting? Chad gave it his absolute all in those final moments. The sheer panic in his eyes, the realization that he might not make it out, and then the aftermath. When they pulled him out and he was barely clinging to life, I was sobbing. Actual, real-life tears rolling down my face. And then they hit us with a transfer to the hospital in Germany. Germany! It was such a dramatic soap opera way to write him out, but it also felt so incredibly final. After 15 years of watching him grow up, watching him navigate the absolute chaos of being a Corinthos and a Quartermain, it just ended in ash and a plane ride. And then, of course, the inevitable happened. They recast. Now, I know some people are loving this, but personally, it has been such a massive adjustment. Rory Gibson stepped into the role, and look, I want to be fair. Rory is incredibly talented. He is doing a solid job navigating the current storylines, especially with Michael scheming to push Willow and Chase together and holding Brooklyn's hit-and-run secret over her head. He plays the calculating, slightly darker Corinthos edge really well. But I'm sorry, he's just not my Michael. Because when you watch an actor for that long, they become the character. Chad Duell was Michael. He brought this specific vulnerability to the role that made you root for him, even when he was doing objectively terrible things. Remember when they tried this kind of massive recast with other legacy characters? Yeah, didn't always work then either. It takes years to build that kind of audience trust. So whenever I see Rory's face on screen, my brain still does this weird little glitch where it goes, who is this man in Michael's suits? It is just jarring, especially considering everything Michael has been through. The history, the divorcing Willow long ago, dating Jacinda, the mob ties. Chad built that foundation. He lived those storylines. He made us care about the nuances of Michael's deeply messed up psychology. But I also have to check my own selfishness here. Because when Chad announced his exit in November 2024, the reasons he gave were so incredibly valid and heartbreaking. He stepped away to spend more time with his family. He lost his father in 2024, which is just an unimaginable grief to process, especially while working the grueling schedule of a daytime soap. And on top of that, becoming a father himself to his son Dawson. Like, how can you even be mad at that? You can't. You absolutely cannot. Family comes first. Always. I remember reading his statement back then and just feeling this overwhelming wave of empathy. Being a soap actor means learning pages and pages of dialogue every single day, working long hours, and constantly being emotionally on for the cameras. To do that while grieving your dad and trying to be present for your newborn son, it is too much. So, as much as I miss him on my screen, I am so fiercely protective of his decision to leave. He needed to heal. He needed to be a dad. That is way more important than my daily hour of entertainment. But that doesn't mean I don't selfishly miss him every single time Michael is on screen. And it's not like he just vanished into thin air either. Shortly after leaving Port Charles, he landed that leading role in Bruce Reisman's world premiere of Yum Yum at Annapolis. I stalked the photos online. Okay? I admit it. He looked so happy and in his element. Doing live theater is such a wildly different beast than daytime television. There are no second takes, no teleprompters, just you and a live audience. I was so incredibly proud of him for taking that leap. It proved that he wasn't just retiring from acting, he was pivoting. He was stretching his creative muscles in ways that General Hospital maybe didn't allow him to do anymore. Which brings us right back to this music announcement. Chad joining the ranks of General Hospital alumni who have music careers is actually so iconic when you think about it. I mean, this show has a deep, rich history of turning its actors into bona fide rock stars. Remember Rick Springfield? Doctor. Noah Drake literally gave us Jesse's Girl. That is legendary status. And Ricky Martin. Miguel Moraes was serving looks and vocals long before he was leaving La Vida Loca. It is like a rite of passage at this point. And we cannot forget Jack Wagner. Frisco Jones singing All I Need is permanently etched into the Soap Opera Hall of Fame. I still have that song on my playlist, and I am not even ashamed to admit it. And Jonathan Jackson? Lucky Spencer himself fronting E Nation and winning all those Emmys. So, honestly, Chad is walking a very well-trodden, highly respected path here. If he drops a banger on June 26th, he could absolutely be the next big General Hospital musical crossover. Am I getting ahead of myself? Probably. But I am just so hyped to see him exploring this completely new artistic avenue. But here's the part that really has my brain spinning in circles. The interview. Did you guys listen to his recent appearance on the Daily Drama podcast? Because I did. And I have thoughts. He opened up about whether he would ever return to the soap, and his answer was so cryptic, but also so hopeful. He literally said, "Obviously, with Frank Valentini and everything, I left the door open there. He left the door open, people. This is not a drill." I had to rewind the podcast 3 times just to make sure I heard him correctly. But then he followed it up with this deep, introspective quote about growth. He said, "Right now, I'm just trying to grow in ways that maybe I feel like I stifled myself in certain aspects. And sometimes you need to take drastic steps or make yourself feel uncomfortable to take a step." I mean, wow, that hits hard. You can tell he really felt boxed in by playing the same character for 15 years. He needed to be uncomfortable. He needed to do a stage play. He needed to write a song. He needed to break out of the Michael Corinthos mold to figure out who Chad Duell actually is as an artist. And I respect the absolute heck out of that. So I am sitting here contradicting myself. Part of me is screaming, "Frank, call him right now and get him back on set." But the other part of me is like, no, let the man fly. Let him sing. Let him do theater. I am so torn. Because the reality is, the role of Michael is filled. Rory Gibson is there, he's doing the work, and you can't just fire a guy because the legacy actor decided he wants to come back after a year and a half. That is not fair to Rory, and it is not fair to the fans who have invested in this new version of the character. So what happens if Chad does want to come back? I am predicting right now that they wouldn't recast Michael again. I think they would bring Chad back as a completely new character. Remember when they did that with Michael Easton? He played like 5 different people in Port Charles. Chad could totally come back as a long-lost cousin, a new doctor, or some mysterious stranger with a dark past. Or, wait, hear me out. What if he comes back as a villain? We have only ever seen him play the mostly good, sometimes morally gray Michael. What if he comes back as a full-blown psychopath? I would be so here for it. Imagine him going toe-to-toe with Sunny, but not as his son, as a legitimate rival. The ratings would explode. I know some people are loving the current cast and might not want to shake things up, but personally, I think Port Charles is always better with Chad Duell in it. But for now, we have to support his music. The 26th of June 2026. Mark your calendars, pre-save the track, and let us show our boy some love. I am going to be streaming If You Need Me on repeat, analyzing every single lyric to see if it is secretly about Sunny or Carly. Kidding. Sort of. Seriously though. What is your reaction to this? Am I the only one losing my mind over this career pivot? Have you been following his theater stuff? Get in the comments or the group chat because I desperately need to talk about this with people who actually get it. End of rant. I need to go drink some water and calm down.